morning. Good. Is it still morning? It is still morning, just. And it's Thursday. Welcome to Thursday. So I'm a little bit later on here today, but hopefully that means for some of you, this will be a lunch break if you're joining me on here. So this is my 30-day challenge. I believe we're at video 16 or 17. Today, I want to talk to you about that scary moment, that awful moment, when maybe you have hit your results. Hey, Forrest. When you've hit your results and suddenly they begin to disappear. See if you can relate to this. So yesterday I shared on my video about how my magic weight for a long time was 138 pounds. What's up, Liz? That number, you might be like, where did that number come from? And if you've seen me in person, you might be like, well, that seems like a small number for a woman of your size. And it was. So that I had hit 138 pounds because I didn't eat a full meal for a month. And despite where your mind might go, that wasn't actually intentional. I had had a breakup with I'd been with somebody for many years, and we broke up, and I lost my appetite for about a full month, and it was an outlier, is what I call it. What's up, Beatrice? So when I say it was an outlier, I didn't do it intentionally. I just, every time I sat down to eat, I would get hungry, but every time I sat down to eat, I just couldn't eat. And so after a month of that, I mean, skinny as I have ever been in my whole life. And I was happy as a clam. I will tell you, I was skinny. I had no muscle tone at all. And I even remember Coach Hannah telling me one time, she had met me when I was this weight, and she told me that she thought I was skinny fat because I didn't, I didn't have any muscle tone. I was just skinny. And so I know some of you might hear that and think like, I want that. And I get that. I was excited when I got there. And I fought to keep that weight for a good 6 months. When I say I fought, because after a month, my appetite started to come back. And so I started building up these certain rules I had to follow in order to keep the success. And I've talked about some of these rules in the past, but there are things like don't eat after 8 o'clock. If I got home from a long day, like say I get home from work at like 10 o'clock at night, I had made a pact with myself that if I was hungry and tired, just go to sleep. Just don't eat, go to sleep. And so just really very stringent rules like this. And unfortunately, that only worked as long as my life was very predictable, and as long as I was eating the same thing every single day and doing the same thing every single day, then I could stay at 138 pounds. But life doesn't work that way. So it just doesn't work that way. And so over time things started to shift. I met Forrest, and I can tell you when you meet somebody that you're attracted to and you start dating, the last thing that you want to get in between you is some weird diet. And so the weight started to come back on, and the absolute worst feeling in the world was that moment when I woke up one day and I went to put on the size 4 shorts that I had been so excited to put on to fit on my hips for the first time ever. And the last time, like I can't, I'm not in a size 4, I can tell you that much. But they were too tight. I remember I went to pull them up and they were too tight. And I actually remember the point, I could still put them on, but they were uncomfortably tight. And then over time, they got too tight to even put on. And, I often wonder if it wouldn't have been better to had just not hit that weight ever. Because, you hear that phrase like, it's better to have loved and have lost than to have never loved at all. In this case, I think it would have been better psychologically for Sarah. Hey, Louise, good to see you. Better psychologically for me had I never hit 138 pounds than to feel the absolute, utter, gutted feeling of losing those results. And then as soon as I started losing those results, I doubled down on all of my rules. Don't eat after 8 o'clock. Don't eat this food. Don't do this. Don't do that. But I couldn't double down on those for long term because my life had changed. It just wasn't appropriate in my life anymore. And so I had to accept, well, I didn't accept for a long time. 138 pounds was my magic number just because that was the number I could hit a size 4. And that was the number where I was skinny. Yay. But I couldn't get to it. And so what I wanted more than anything else, as I saw those results kind of drift away from me, what I learned that I wanted more than anything else was to be strong and lean. So I was lean, but with no muscle tone, but I wanted to be lean and strong. So I wanted muscle tone. I didn't want to be this little reed. I wanted to be fully satisfied with every single meal that I ate. And I wanted to be able to keep my results. I didn't want them to be this sort of phantom thing that I just randomly hit for who knows why. I mean, we know why, but I wanted results that I could duplicate, that I could replicate again and again and again. And more than anything, what I wanted was a plan that was adaptable no matter what was happening in my life. That is all I wanted. Can a girl have it all? What I began to discover along my path of internal transformation, remember I've said this several times, I'll keep saying it, my external transformation followed after my internal. So I had to transform my perspective internally first before I was set up in a position to externally transform. And what I began to discover along that path is that there is a massive difference between results, a plan that gives you results, and a plan that gives you sustainability that you can do for the rest of your life. And I've talked about this before, I'll talk about it again. If you have one without the other, your plan is not going to last. So another way of thinking about it, and this is so appropriate for right now, whatever plan you adopt, that has to be your new normal. I know we're tired of that phrase, but it so applies to this. Your eating plan has to be your new normal. So if your eating plan, if you have to hold your breath to get to that crazy magic number that you've decided you need to get to, both of those things have put you in a position where your ends justify whatever means. And I'm just going to tell you, you're missing out on a fabulous surprise at the end of your journey. Or when you hit a goal, you're robbing yourself of whatever that goal could be because you've locked yourself in, and then you're attached to this, you're using this plan that you metaphorically have to hold your breath to get. So I'm sharing this with you today because I want to invite you to take a look at what your goals are. And more importantly, I want you to take a look at what means you're using to get to those goals. And just ask yourself, is this something that I can do for the rest of my life? Can I do this in 5 years? Can I do this in 10 years? If you're single, ask yourself, can I do this when I find a partner? Can I do this if I have kids? Can I do this when I go on vacation and still enjoy myself? Those are all questions I'd like you to ask today and to consider for yourself. So thank you so much for joining me. Comment below if any of this resonates or if you have any experience with this in your life. And don't forget, if you'd like to continue listening to these videos after this week, we are going to start streaming them live in a different Facebook group. I've included the link on the post. I think it's above. So click on that and ask to join, and we'll add you to the group. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. I will either see you at the gym or I will see you here online tomorrow. Bye now.